Welcome to Mortified, the Friendship Quest, a podcast where two long-distance friends bounce media recommendations, all in hopes the other will like it. I'm Aaron.
And I'm the longest ending sequence known to man.
And this week, we open our February of romance with the 2017 Hindi rom-com Phillauri. Before we reunite lost lovers with the power of gramophones, remember you can help us on Mortified the Legitimacy Quest by subscribing to us on YouTube, iTunes, or Spotify, or following us on Tumblr at MortifiedPod. Leyla.
Aaron.
Would you ever marry a tree?
Without hesitation.
Oh, word?
Oh, word.
No hesitation.
None.
Wow, very strong pro tree romance stance. It's just you just
like
can't
trees.
find anything better. Yeah.
No,
I mean, listen.
I just like trees.
I've met a couple men in my life.
Yeah.
I think there's like a solid 30-40% of trees that are better than all men. So
That's correct. Yeah, listen, like a handsome oak or like I've been in some old growth forests in my life. I've had the pleasure, and 100%, there are some trees I'd be like, yeah, that's what I take care of now for the rest of time. Sure. It'd be like being a shrine maiden, but for a cool tree.
yeah, honestly, you could do so much worse. Leyla, why are we talking about tree marriage today?
So, again, we're kind of lifting the curtain on the Mortified selection process, and every once in a while, there's months that have themes. In February, me and Aaron love a rom-com, so we're leaning into the month of romance. And so we last time we did a Bollywood movie, we loved it. It was a great time. Songs from it ended up on my, top 100 for the year. Ye Jawani Hai Diwani was a delight. So we were like, why don't we take this opportunity and do more Bollywood? And so we found this delightful rom-com, Phillauri, and we gave it a watch. And I think we both have some notes.
Yeah, I think it has a very fun premise, and there's a lot of fun set pieces. And also, maybe 45 to 60 minutes too long, but the parts that worked really did work for me. So we'll talk about it.
Yeah, I think it could have been two different movies.
Right. Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, in many ways, it is two different movies.
It should have been differenter.
Yes, I agree with that. So, how do you want to do the plot summary?
I think you have more notes. So do you want me to read?
Yes.
Okay, great. We start with Kanan, a 26-year-old rapper who's returning from Canada back to Punjab, I think, right? Specifically? Does it say?
Maybe?
No, Anu is from Punjab. Anyway, he's returning back to India to marry his girlfriend, Anu, who I love and is perfect and has done nothing wrong ever in her entire life.
Correct.
He is having cold feet about their relationship because he's a foolish and vain boy.
I don't know. I just don't know why he wasn't ready to commit. Besides the fact that he sucks, so that's why I put that in there.
Well, he's too busy beatboxing.
Yeah, I mean he is a professional beatboxer.
I don't know if you know this, but after you get married, it's illegal to beatbox. So I hope you don't do that.
They did. Yeah, because I got married in Illinois. In Indiana, it's okay, but once I moved back to Illinois, they did make sure they had like an agent come to my office and just be like, hey, just a reminder, you're in Illinois now. We don't allow that sort of behavior. And I was like, okay, sure.
Right, exactly. Well, so when Kanan arrives to his home, his family, mind you, to like the biggest reception one could imagine, his family informs him that his horoscope sucks, and in order to get rid of the sucky horoscope, he needs to first marry a tree. He reluctantly agrees, and then after he marries the inauspicious tree, it is cut down so that he can marry his girlfriend Anu. I loved the tree marriage ceremony because Kanan was so depressed about it, but everyone else was absolutely taking the piss.
Yeah, it was really fun. There's a bit where Anu has the selfie stick and is taking pictures of him, and they're throwing saffron confetti everywhere, and he just looks so sad. He's just kind of yeah, I'm doing this, I guess.
Yeah, I'll say Kanan the character sucks, but the actor is great. He has a very great disaffected, awful smile that doesn't reach his eyes.
Correct.
So Kanan is distant at one of the wedding parties. When Anu comes to confront him, he gives wishy-washy answers, and Anu says that she can't keep waiting for him to be in the right frame of mind for marriage. However, the night after the tree ceremony, he is visited by a spirit who levitates his bed a la The Exorcism. Kanan is terrified. Yeah. She lives pretty high, too. She's a strong lady.
Yeah, it's very funny where she's just kind of like, hey man, wake up. Ah, fuck it. And then just does a full like shaking and rattling the bed and then drops it on the ground. And then he like yells and he falls out. And then his whole family shows up and they're like, hey, what's going on? And Anu thinks it's because he's been smoking weed, which is very good.
Yeah, and then he's a big baby about it. It's terrified. It is like, can I come sleep in your bed, please? Right.
Yeah, no, very funny. And she's just like, God, you're the worst.
God, she puts up with way too much. Anu would do better. Get better.
All the women in this are great, and all the men are terrible.
Yeah. Well, at least in the present day.
Right.
The spirit then confronts Kanan, cornering him in a bathtub. A great scene. He tells her that he had to marry a tree because of his shitty horoscope, and then the spirit reveals that she was in the tree. And I think the line that she says here is great, which is, "You don't marry a tree, you idiot. You marry a girl." Girl's a tree.
Yeah. No, there's another really funny line where he's like talking to her and he's like, so have you always been a ghost? And she's like, yeah, I was born a ghost. Are you daft, you idiot? I think the exact line is like, were you dead before you died? It's just like, come on, man. He's so stupid. He's 26, so,
he's 26.
Maybe a little bit.
He needs to find himself, as he says. He is so stupid. So the spirit reveals that she was in the tree. Kanan is now her husband. The spirit then, she kind of like has these triggers for flashbacks, right? Like she's kind of confused for a little while, but she starts to flashback to her childhood around 1918, 1919. Her name is Shashi, and we love Shashi. She's a queen. She's an idol. Right. And she was the sister of a respected town doctor in the village of Phillauri. Like, that is the village. Keep that in mind. She wrote poems under the pseudonym Phillauri after her village name. She couldn't publish them herself because she was a woman. Misogyny, right? This is a historical drama. But everybody believes that these poems were written by Rup Lal, who calls himself Phillauri. So he is Phillauri who can sing, but his songs are all like, they're panty droppers. He's out there chasing tail. Right. And she writes these beautiful poems under the same pseudonym, and he has been kind of taking credit for them because no one else has come forth, right?
Right.
Rupa is a popular local musician. He's also a bit of a slut. He tries to woo Shashi and she turns him down, saying he has a talent but won't inspire people during this moment of Indian independence because he sings substanceless songs. He quotes one of her own poems at her and she slaps him. This is a great moment.
Yeah. I think, and this is like a pivotal moment for Rup too, because he is like, from this moment on, he like immediately quits drinking and like starts to go volunteer and like starts studying the poems. And like, it turns his whole life around. And like, I do kind of wish that we lived in a society where you could just slap a man, slap some sense into him. And then like, he was like, oh, I've been indolent my entire life. It's time to turn it around.
Honestly, yeah, it's a good... Listen, I'm a pacifist, but every once in a while, someone needs to get, like, a light ass whooping. Nothing dangerous, right? I'm not trying to do murder here, but, like, every once in a while, I think we should be able to just do a little bit of a slap across the face.
Right. I'm pro Will Smith.
Yes, same. I think that was a good time to bring a slap back. So yes, this confrontation changes Rup, who gives up drinking and begins studying the poems in the newspaper. Eventually, Shashi reveals to him that she is the poet. This is also when the audience finds out. They fall in love throughout this process because she sees he's a changing man, and then they do it.
This is, I kind of glossed over this in the summary, but there's a very funny part where, like, she eventually gets pregnant because of this, and like, they end up like planning their wedding, and Shashi has this friend, and like Shashi has the typical like, I'm gonna go throw up because I'm pregnant, and then she kind of explains this to her friend. When her friend realizes it, she says, yuck, disgusting, you did it with him. Which that's what your friends should be doing. They should always be making fun of you for your hookups.
Absolutely. Oh, I already do. I love doing that to my friends who have hookups. Yes. So Shashi sets Roop up with a recording deal from a gramophone label because somebody wrote into the newspaper asking for the identity of Phillauri, and she's like, oh, well, I told them it was you. I can't go anywhere. My brother is too restrictive. I want you to go and like have this beautiful record deal. Roop is like, okay, listen, I'll go, but I will sing as Phillauri, but the record will also have your name there as Phillauri as the writer. Like, I will do this for us. I will lift you up with me, which I thought was lovely.
Sure.
Unfortunately, at that moment, Roop's shitty friend tattles on them and brings Shashi's brother, which, by the way, my man, why are you so obsessed with Roop?
I mean, yeah, no, this is clearly like, oh, my friend started hanging out with this girl, and now I have no one to drink with. Yeah, it's that archetype of just like shitty dude friend who's like, bros before hoes, man, come on.
For real. So he goes to tell the fucking brother, and the brother beats the shit out of both of them.
Yeah, not great.
And says that Roop is not a respectable person, and gives Shashi this whole lecture. And you and I both thought, because he brought her some medicine after he smacked her in the face, you and I both thought he was poisoning her.
Yeah, because I mean, like, we know she dies young, so I was like, is this how she dies? That sucks. But yeah, thankfully not.
By the way, we've been talking a lot about the past timeline. Nothing is happening in the present timeline.
Yeah, it's wild. There's some notes later on about the present timeline, but really it is just kind of like this retelling, occasionally cut in with Kanan just being like, I'm being haunted and no one believes me.
Right, and being dodgy about wanting to get married for no discernible reason other than being 26.
Right.
So Roop agrees actually with the brother's assessment and says he's going to go off and make money and come back and marry Shashi. He sends some money back after his recording goes through in a wonderful scene where he sends back 300 rupees and the messenger is like, 300 rupees, doctor, is a lot of money. How's that tip?
Yeah. That's really good. That's very much like what brown people are like to be. Like, yeah, I believe that.
Yes, it was great. I love all the uncles are great in this movie.
Yes, it is full of uncles and aunties. It's a great film.
So, Roop promised he would marry Shashi if he came back and be successful. But on the, once he sends the money, the brother is like, hey, I was wrong. He values you. He treasures you. He really is trying. I think he's worthy of you. And I will agree to give him your hand in marriage on the agreed upon day. And I will give you away in style. And, she cries and it's beautiful. And they set up this whole betrothal party, right? This engagement party. And the whole day she's waiting for him. The whole day Shashi is waiting. And this is where the exchange happens with, they're like, ew, you had sex, gross.
Mm-hmm. Right.
But he never shows.
Mm-hmm.
And the brother, and this is just the state of misogyny 100 years ago. The brother was like, I will send you away to Lahore to marry a respectable doctor. Nobody will know of your past, that you were disgracefully left at the altar.
Yeah. It's like, oh, come on, man.
Come on, my brother. That's
not her fault. Right.
So Shashi, disgraced and about to be a mother out of wedlock, dies by suicide. She hangs herself from a tree, the tree to which she is bound.
Right.
All of this is kind of woven between Kanan and Anu's story. There's a bunch of arguments between Kanan and Anu, but eventually Shashi... she reveals herself to Anu by wrapping herself in Anu's wedding veil, and so she's able to see like her form, which scares the shit out of her and makes her it kind of only makes her forgive Kanan for being so weird.
Right.
She passes out, and Shashi is such a stone cold bitch that she looks down at her. She goes, "Why does everyone in this house keep fainting?"
You're right. Yeah. No. She's just like, this is completely normal. Ghosts are hanging out all the time. Y'all should, y'all are a bunch of babies here in the 21st century. We also didn't say this because I didn't put it in the notes, but like there's a bit where Anu or Shashi is like watching like all the modern innovations. Like when Anu comes up to like get a picture taken with Kanan, she like says, she's like, "Oh my God, she's naked," because she can see like she's wearing a backless dress. And there's a bit where everybody's like dancing at one of the parties, and she's just like, "I don't think that they even dance like this in the brothels," which is really funny. I do love the idea of Shashi being like, "Wow, I hate the future."
Yeah, she's an upright citizen. She's an upstanding girl. So Anna's grandmother gives her a very nice necklace that's been in the family for a long time. She prompts Kanan to say something nice to Anu, but he can't because he's stupid. Shashi has Kanan repeat one of her poems, and Anu is very moved by the line. Okay, we need to talk about this moment. First of all, you pointed out Shashi's looking right at Anu the whole time she's saying this shit. So, like, give me the lesbian ghost story that we deserve.
Right.
Bro, if you need a ghost to dictate how to compliment your girlfriend,
it's really bad.
What are we doing?
Right. No. Kanan is thoroughly fucking useless. Is not able to do anything for his girlfriend who waited for him for 3 years, who convinced his parents to let him go to Canada to pursue his stupid ass rap dream. He's just kind of like, I don't know what to say. Ghost wife, help me. Listen, I think that if we had 100 episodes of a manga or something, we could get a help, I married a tree and now my ghost wife is giving me advice on how to date my current wife. I think that would be a great slice of life, long form story. But in this compressed form, it just makes Kanan look like a dipshit.
It makes him look like such a dipshit, and it's just the most rizless motherfucker ever born. And it's so much. Anyway, so while Kanan is reciting the poem, the grandmother recognizes the lines and starts to kind of sing the tune, and because it's on a gramophone record that she loves. Turns out, Roop did manage to strike it rich in Amritsar, using Shashi's poems and his musical talent, publishing under both their names, as he promised. And when they look at the record, again, a moment we have to dissect.
Okay,
when
yeah.
they look at the record, one, it has been established in this fiction because the youths kind of speak Hinglish, it's half Hindi and half English. And when they do that, Shashi can't understand them. She needs them just to fucking speak Hindi. So how does she know? How can she read English then on the record?
I mean, so the British Raj was a thing in India for 100 years. So she would have grown up in the time under British occupation. So
okay.
it's not unreasonable for her to know some English.
Fair. Okay. That's fine. I can deal with that. If Grandma had turned around seeing that ghost hold that record, it would just be floating in the air to her, and she would die.
Yeah. I mean, Grandma also apparently remembers that 1919 was a terrible year, so she is over 100. She is over 100 years old. Listen, there's a lot of plot holes in this movie. I'm willing to forgive a lot of them because I don't think they're interesting, but it is funny.
It is so... the whole time I was waiting for Grandma to turn around and just drop. I was like, this is so stressful to
Grandma
me.
was actually one of my favorite characters, though, because she was always talking about how much... she's Anu's grandmother, and she was always talking about how much Anu's grandfather loved to fuck.
Oh, yeah. She's a very horny grandma. I love that so much.
Which is great. Whenever she finds them, together, she's like, oh, y'all are in the bedroom already. Can't wait, huh? Very funny.
Just like Grandpa.
Just like Grandpa. That's incredibly funny.
So here's one of the wildest parts of this flick.
So yeah, Leyla, what do you know about the history of Indian liberation?
I know there were many massacres. I know this is one of them.
So, I wrote a book about, Indian, like kind of a satire of Indian stories and Indian Revolution, that never got published, sadly. But one of the first things I learned when I started researching Indian history is something called the Jallianwala Bagh massacre. Essentially, what happened is there's this, protest for this is happening in 1919, right? So this is post World War One. A lot of Indians have fought in the British Army. And they're agitating for independence, right? Gandhi, hasn't quite done the Quit India movement just yet, but this is eventually going to be the thing that he latches onto, and wins independence for. But this is a keystone moment in British history, or British and Indian history, because there's protests to say, hey, we fought for you in the war. We want to have rights. Y'all are continuing to treat us as second-class citizens. We are a colony. You are extracting wealth from us. And there's this place in Amritsar called Jallianwala Bagh, where this protest happens, and the British Army, commanded by Colonel Dyer, comes down. They send two battalions of colonial infantry. And basically, the Jallianwala Bagh is basically like a walled-in area. It's just like a big courtyard, and they, the British, the colonial infantry opened fire on the people protesting, and between a lot of people died. Like the numbers are disputed, but it's like anywhere between 300 and 1,000 people were killed. It's one of the most famous massacres in Indian history. April 13th, 1919. I had it marked on my Google Calendar for a while, because I was writing this book around the 100th anniversary of it, and it's just a while to be like, anyway, so this character, Roop, he was recording right outside outside Jallianwala Bagh, and his recording buddy was like, hey, I'm going to go to a place real quick. Do you want to come with me? And then I'll see you off. And he is killed. He is killed in this historical massacre. And that's why he never made it to the wedding.
Killed in slow motion, by the way. And this gets wilder, actually, because I think, okay, putting somebody into a historical event, fine, whatever. Liberties. Anastasia is one of my favorite movies, right? And it's talking about the Romanovs. What I think the ending is wilder. I really do. So Anu and Kanan drive Shashi the ghost to the place of the massacre while Anu reads the Wikipedia.
She's reading the Wikipedia. They're in the car.
And they find... No, okay. Listen, your summary is... They walk into the square. And, she sees the plaque for the martyrs. And then... So, I need everybody to understand... I need to talk about the fucking ghost logistics. Kanan is the only person who can see Shashi. Anu has seen kind of a vague outline of her fucking with physical objects, but she can't see the woman Shashi. So, for the first half of this scene, fucking Anu is watching Kanan for his reactions, and Shashi is, walking up this very solemn, nearly faceless crowd of ghosts that is just, crowding this, all the people who died in that massacre are just still fucking there haunting the space. Mm-hmm. And she is not even processing the tragedy of it. She's just looking for her boyfriend.
Right.
And, he for some reason waits until she's almost, gone, and then starts reciting poetry to her. And mind you, this did make me cry.
Yeah, no, I did tear up a little bit when I got to the ghost scene.
Yeah, absolutely.
It did work for me, unfortunately.
It did, unfortunately. Starting from Shashi's suicide, I was tearing up quite a bit. Mm-hmm. But, so then they have what is the longest wildest reunion scene I've ever watched. It was like 6 minutes long of them just making micro expressions at each other. I think 4 words were exchanged. And then they almost ascend to presumably heaven. And then Shashi comes back down to just like tell the kids to take care of each other. But what? And then they go, and then the kids like hug it out, I guess. They don't even kiss. It is such an insane moment.
It is a wild way to end a film, with like a 4-minute montage of people looking at each other, and then like golden light sparkles, and then, you know, be a good husband to each other. Anyway, bye. Yeah, this is where my biggest criticism comes in, which is like this movie is terribly paced. This should have been like a 60-minute film, maybe 70 minutes if you want to get all like the music stuff in. But there are just so many shots that take forever, places that they just like should not have lingered on because nothing was happening or didn't like achieve a specific effect. Like, yeah, this is why I didn't really like the movie as much as I wanted it to.
I liked what it was going. Okay, it's weird because the beginning of the movie is so slapstick. Mm-hmm. It is a physical slapstick comedy. People are fainting. Like the way Kanan faints when he first sees Shashi is he like scoots himself into a desk too hard.
Right.
That's slapstick. And then it turns into this, like, very serious historical drama about Shashi living in these, like, revolutionary times under her, like, borderline abusive, oppressive brother.
Right.
Dealing with the misogyny of the times, and then, like, you know, they're talking about, like, Root being a philanderer and, like, all these things. And it turns into this, like, very tender love story between these two people. And then you zoom back out to the present, and it's more of Kanan beatboxing. And it's just, like, it is so tonally dissonant and also weirdly paced. Mm-hmm. I liked what it was going for, but It was the wildest structure for a film probably since Anastasia, which if you rewatch it now has no songs in it past the first 30 minutes.
Mm-hmm. It's a very strange choice. You know, I'm sure there were production constraints that led to these, you know, maybe not doing as good of an editing job as they should have. But
no,
you know,
I think this is script, baby. I think this is this from the get-go was just kind of insane.
You could have there. I think if you watch this movie at like 1.5 times speed, I think it would improve it by like a full point on my like 1 to 5 point rating. Like I just think that. Yeah, there are just so many weird choices that I don't necessarily think added to what they were going for. The tonal clashing, the long shots, the cutting back and forth, when like really the story is much. I genuinely think this is a movie that is much more interested about the historical drama aspect because, you know, as much as I love Anu and Kanan, you know, they're not really the main focus here. They just sort of just like kind of end up together at the end. And I'm willing to forgive a lot of that because I'm pretty forgiving of most genre work when it's like, okay, you're working in a genre, you're trying to achieve a certain thing and you kind of know that your audience will play along. That said, you know, I think this is a completely fine B movie.
Yeah, I mean, like, again, I liked it. I thought it was fun. I actually liked some of the songs too.
I liked one of the songs. I thought Roop's opening song was pretty good. You know, I think that's true. Like, I think if it had leaned more into the fun stuff, I would have liked it more because I really like the stuff with Anu and Kanan, like kind of like dicking around. Like when they're not having like arguments about how much Kanan sucks. Like I did like all of that, like all the stuff at the party. That was all fun. You know, the family stuff, the family like kind of clowning on Kanan. That's all fun.
Yeah, I wanted it. God, yeah, it just tonally, it was so weird. Because on one hand, I agree with you. All that stuff was really fun. But if I'm watching the historical drama, then I don't want that stuff. It feels weird.
Right.
But if I'm watching a fun, goofy, then, you know, movie, then the historical drama also needs to lighten up. Like, it was just clinically insane. The whiplash from Kanan beatboxing to standing in a fucking plaza full of ghosts that are supposed to be from the Amritsar massacre. Insane. It's an insane choice. It's a bonkers choice.
Yeah. That said, I am glad we watched it because it is just a wild film to have experienced.
I agree. I mean, that's what this podcast is for, right? It's for us to find this shit and watch it and go, wow!
Wow, that was something, huh?
That sure was an experience that we shared.
Yeah, so, to kind of broaden out to our talking points, like, what do you think makes for a good piece of pacing or structure, in a piece of media? Like, because I think there is a good movie in here. It just needs to be, extracted from all the weird stuff.
Yeah. I mean, like, that's so subjective, right? Because, like, again, it depends on what kind of movie you want to make. Because I keep thinking about The Boy and the Heron. Like, if you look at The Boy and the Heron from, like, a Western 3-act structure, it's quote unquote poorly paced, but it's not poorly paced when you watch it. It's beautifully paced. It's so wonderful and thoughtful, and there's a lot of moments of that concept of that concept of like nothingness, and that's beautiful. But again, tonally, you have to decide what you are, because if you're going to be a historical drama, then I think that the historical drama parts were paced okay, right? Because they were giving us insight into Roop and into his relationship with Soma and with Shashi, Soma the friend. Mm-hmm. With Shashi's life under her brother and with her friend, right? Like it was. I thought that stuff was good. It's just like then intercut with this like slapstick, at like weird moments, like modern day storyline. It just needs to decide tonally what it is, and then it can decide how to pace itself. But if it doesn't understand tone, then the pacing will naturally be off.
Right.
Did you like what are your edits? Like where do you think the points of extraction are?
I mean, I really think that it is like they do a lot of these like love sequences, which I don't think are effective because we don't really see the relationship between them building. We just kind of get like romance music and lyrics that, those lyrics are supposed to convey, what the characters are experiencing and feeling. But one, there's a language barrier, right? Like, the vast majority of this film is not in English. So like, the songs didn't quite work on me the same way. And just two, because we don't actually see a lot of like interaction between Roop and Shashi, like I don't really get why Shashi is into Roop at all. He seems like kind of a useless guy like Kanan. Like he stole her credit for her poems. And like, obviously, right, he turned his life around and he became cool. And that's all well and good. But like I didn't really see that there's anything more than that. Like they don't really have, I guess they did have some scenes where they were talking about the poetry, but like I kind of wish that there had been more shots of him like actually asking her about her writing process and like why she's making various choices, something that shows that he's invested in her. And I think that might be a criticism that can be broadened out to most rom-coms, right? Because there is kind of just like an understanding that these two are going to end up together, so you don't really have to put too much in there. But, I've been thinking a lot about, the ways to write characters romantically because I'm trying to do that in the book that I'm writing right now. And a lot of the notes that I got back was like, hey, we have to see why they like each other. We have to see, that relationship build. And I don't think that the romantic aspect like built really at all, which is why, I clung on to Shashi reciting the poem to, Anu basically. Because like she is doing it in a tender and sincere way, and like giving her attention in a way that Kanan never does.
Yeah, Jesus Christ. Yeah, and I think in that you kind of stumble on something else, which is like, not only does tone dictate pacing, but it also dictates like the level of character development you want to give and the like amount of attention you want to give. Because like I've literally written an essay about this. If you're just doing like a light fun rom-com, like Thumbelina is my favorite example of this. You're just doing a light fun rom-com. I don't actually need to know all that much about the characters. I'm okay with just saying it's a beautiful prince and a beautiful princess, and they're in love. That's fine. But because of this like slow historical drama, you're right. Like, you want to know more about why these two people are even drawn to each other, rather than, ooh, she was playing hard to get, and then he kind of turned his shit around, and now they're cool. So yeah, it's yeah, I agree. I wanted more. Though again, it did make me cry, so I don't know.
Listen, yeah, I mean, just because we have criticisms doesn't mean like the parts that hit don't hit. I think if you're in the market for like kind of a lazy rom-com that doesn't like demand that much of you to like pay attention to the plot, and you just kind of want to have something on while you're around the house, and also you are able to read subtitles or speak Hindi, I guess. If you're in that very specific instance of our listenership, then maybe this will be like a good one for you. But I am glad this movie exists, and it brings me to our marketing minute, which is like, Leyla, if you're making a movie about your life or otherwise, what wild historical event would you want to include in it?
Oh boy, do you have one?
I think I'm like caught between two. One is like the Barack Obama announcing his presidency, his candidacy for president, because I was in Springfield that day. I just happened to be in Springfield going to the Abraham Lincoln Museum on the day he announced it. And if there was somebody making a biopic about me, they would use that to parallel both all the potential that I had and all of and also foreshadow all the crimes that I would do later in life. And then, if I was just doing kind of like a historical or like, I would, this might be crass, but I would love to do like a completely totally dissonant, narrative, like a rom-com set in DC where like a high-powered lawyer and like an Uber driver fall in love, and they learn to appreciate each other. And then the Capitol riot happens.
Okay, so that's funny you say that, because I was immediately, my first one was J6.
Yeah.
I feel like, that one, or
it's a little bit like if in the middle of Pirates of the Caribbean, like they see the fucking like the Boston Tea Party happen, or like the War of 1812 breaks out in the middle of it.
Yeah. I feel like I would love like a tonally discordant rom-com set around January 6th. I think that'd be a lot of fun. Also, God, so much history has happened in the last like 6 years that I'm almost over, like it's hard to parse what has happened, because every day is history.
Hey Leyla, how many years out do you think we are from like the yearning COVID romance? Like the two lovers are separated during COVID quarantine, like less than 10, you think?
Pretty sure those have already been made during COVID.
Yeah, I hope that I never have to experience them.
Yeah, unless I find it and think it's funny.
Unless it's hysterical, and then in which case we'll talk about it on the podcast.
Absolutely. Oh God. Okay, let me give it a think. Is there literally? Can I not think of anything else? Well, I mean, okay, if you're gonna make a biopic about me, a wild historical event that you could, similarly to your announcement of Barack Obama like running for president. Putin's inauguration speech gave me such bad vibes watching it live at the time that I do think it changed me as a person.
That is very fun to see like a young Leyla watching Vladimir Putin give his speech, and then like you can like the low droning noise in the background as the camera like kind of zooms in on your face, and you can see Putin's reflection in your eyes.
Yeah, man, I didn't know anything about politics at the time. I've never felt that way before about a person, where I just like looked at that man speaking on TV and I was like, oh, I don't like him.
Bad vibes.
Vibes, ooh, bad. So yeah, I think those are mine. J6 and Putin's inauguration.
Yeah. my riotous romance, my rebellious romance, my I'm trying to figure out what the Hallmark movie for J6 is titled.
You could, God, if you could do like a pun, it could be like just the sixth, or just us six, and then it turns into like a
it's like Valentine's Day, but there's 6 different people across.
Yes.
Okay, there's a libertarian, there's a Democrat, there's a Republican.
Yes.
There, all different people from the different political spectrums, and they all end up, and they all resolve their differences.
Oh my God!
As they,
Wait.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, hold on, Galaxy Brain. There's 2 Democrats that are friends. One of them is like an actual dyed-in-the-wool liberal,
right?
And the other one is just kind of like posing, you know, the kind that would buy those RBG beaded collars that I showed you.
Yeah, yes, I'm aware.
And then we need the Republican has to be gay, and not like we're not doing secret gay. We're doing one of those out gay Republicans.
Yeah, one of the sure.
Yeah, a youth, right? And then a bisexual libertarian. That's how we're gonna even square that playing field. And that's 2, and then we need like a Republican, and then what are they called? A sovereign citizen.
Not the opposite. I don't respect the rights or authority of this nation, but you know what? I respect the claim that that you have on my heart.
They're just I was gonna say they're just in town refueling.
Oh my God.
Like on their way back home to West Virginia.
Oh, there's gotta be, please, I'm begging you, Disney, Fox.
No, this has come on, Universal Studios, 20th Century Fox.
Do you think we could get Illumination? We could get the Minions people. We could make it an animated.
Fucking Tubi?
Tubi, please. This is such a good idea.
Oh, Craig.
Is this the most deranged marketing minute we've done in the podcast so far?
It's easily the most disrespectful.
It's definitely not respectful of one of the worst moments in American history.
Yeah, but if we don't laugh, we'll cry.
But it is 2024. So
yeah, it's 2024. Register to vote, please.
Anyway.
Gosh,
Leyla, when we are not, again, as always, spitting liquid gold into the internet, where can we be found online besides here?
Oh, Jesus Christ, you can find me at LEYLSES on Tumblr and Blue Sky. I'm not doing all that much. I just kind of hang. I'm working on a bunch of essays. I'm working on an essay about my love for Ring Fit Adventure, why it's just like a beautifully designed game. Long term, I'm working on my Xena Saga essay. And then there's a third one that I'm actually blanking on right now, but I'm sure it's great. And then I am drawing again, when I have time. Mostly I'm taking classes, so What about you?
I'm at Aaron SXL on Twitter, Monster Factory Fanfic on Tumblr, and AA Void on Blue Sky and YouTube. If you like tabletop commentary, you can find me at AA Void on YouTube. And yeah, I'm hanging out, writing a tabletop game, trying to finish up a novel. A lot of stuff happening. We'll see how much of it gets done this year.
Ain't that the fucking case?
Yes, it absolutely is. Our theme song is Obsolete by Keshco from the album Filmmaker's Reference Kit Volume 2. You can find more of their music at keshco.bandcamp.com. Leyla, what do we say to leave our listeners and go into the next week?
Well, I got a question for you. Would you say you were alive before you died?
No, Leyla, I was born a ghost. We'll see you all next time.